Welcome to our midweek moment. I am David Ezekiel, transitional minister for the First Federated Church of Peoria, and I'm glad to be with you at this time. The Bible tells us that we are children of God, created in God's image, and that we have a magnificent inheritance in God. Have you ever thought about what that means? Allow me to illustrate. While a couple was eating at a restaurant in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, a distinguished-looking, white-haired man was moving from table to table, visiting with the guests. Eventually, he came over to their table and asked in a friendly voice, "Where are you folks from?" They exchanged the usual pleasantries, and the little old man continued with the following story. "See that mountain over there?" as he pointed out the restaurant window. Not far from the base of that mountain, there was a boy born to an unwed mother. He had a hard time growing up because every place he went, he was always asked the same question. "Hey boy, who's your daddy?" Whether he was at school, in the grocery store, or the drugstore, people would ask the same question. "Who's your daddy?" He would hide at recess and lunchtime from the other students. He would avoid going into stores because that question hurt him so badly. When he was about 12 years old, a new preacher came to his church, and he'd always go in late and slip out early to avoid hearing the obvious question, "Who's your daddy?" But one day, the new preacher said the benediction so fast, he got caught and had to walk out with the crowd. Just about the time he got to the back door, the new preacher, not knowing anything about him, put his hand on his shoulder and asked him, "Son, who's your daddy?" The whole church got deathly quiet. He could feel every eye in the church looking at him. Now, everyone would finally know the answer to the question, "Who's your daddy?" This new preacher, though, somehow sensed the situation around him, and using discernment that maybe only the Holy Spirit could give, said the following to that scared little boy. "Wait a minute. I know who you are. I see the family resemblance now. You are a child of God." With that, he patted the boy on his shoulder and said, "Boy, you got a great inheritance. Go and claim it." With that, the boy smiled for the first time in a long time and walked out the door a changed person. He was never the same again. Whenever anybody asked him, "Who's your daddy?" he'd just tell them, "I'm a child of God." You know, if that new preacher hadn't told me that I was one of God's children, I probably never would have amounted to anything. Isn't that a great story? Well, that's the way Ben Hooper, the former governor of the state of Tennessee, tells it in his autobiography. So the point is this. When you look in the mirror, take a long look at yourself and recognize that you are a child of God and have a great inheritance. Go and claim it. I'm David Ezekiel. Thank you for allowing me to join you for this, our midweek moment. Blessings.